Hello.
Hi, everyone.
Look at that. How great.
We are back. Look at that. Oh, look at Hudson.
Also, immediately after putting his foot in his mouth, it's a trend.
Yeah, I asked him earlier how that foot tastes.
Yeah, and
Because
he
he
said,
just keeps putting it in his mouth
he
like a
keeps eating
dum-dum.
it, so I don't know why he would
It's
do
very
that if it
impressive
didn't
he has
taste
any
good.
foot left at this point. Hello, pastry puff.
We would never know. They're hidden in the ruffles. That's why he wears the ruffles, so you can't see his actually bitten feet because he keeps putting his foot in his mouth.
Yes.
Uh,
You'll actually see a lot of ruffles in the coming entries. So keep an eye out.
Oh, yeah. I know which one you're drawing. Yeah, uh-huh.
Well, it's the one I'm currently working on.
It is, yes. Beautiful. Guys,
Oh, nothing.
I don't know if any of you saw in the Discord, but this is a momentous day. I am doing thumbnails. What is this crap? What, I fucking have to do this shit
Oh
now?
my god, my mind was
this?
blown.
What is this? I don't understand.
It's insane.
What the hell is this? Terrible.
What
Hate it.
is
Don't
that?
enjoy it. Yeah, thumbnails. Are you asking what they are in Thews, or are you asking, like, really? Ori's doing thumbnails? The thing she says she never does, because I don't enjoy doing thumbnails.
It is the
but
thing
I'm
she never does.
forced to do that for this.
Why did you have to do it for this?
Because it just... thumbnails for what? Yeah, so these are thumbnails for the Ace Attorney AU comic. The first part, not the whole thing, but I want to get through the first part, what did you call it? The introduction or something? I don't even remember what you called the first section. Yeah, introduction and setup.
I think I just called it script 1.
Introduction and setup for the case, that's what you wrote it as, and then you have meeting
yes.
and then everything. So I wanted to get that whole thing done. But since I specifically wanted to try to, so Pastry Puff, essentially what it is that the vote for the AU, as I always wanted to make it a little mini comic. Mars has written a lot more than I'm going to get through by time I want it up, but that is the goal, because partly I do want to make more content that's like getting people to know the characters. I need to turn down this background music. My brain is dying. Okay, now I can hear my own thoughts. And Mars has written a really, really cool story for it so far, so that's really fun. And I also would encourage her to write any AU fics we could totally share. But
oh, they're very much being worked on.
Oh, I know. So there's other AU fics coming and happening eventually, because I also gave her a fun D&D idea, and I get a birthday present.
Ori
Lots
will
of fun
not
stuff.
stop drawing, and I will not stop
Yes,
thinking.
exactly.
So, there are AUs for days.
That is the fun of it. And the other thing is I wanted to push myself to try and do it in the classic comic style, because the classic graphic novel, book style is honestly a very different can of worms than the Infinite Scroll, and that is the reason why I've had to force myself to do thumbnails, and that's because it is so different from the Infinite Scroll. The Infinite Scroll, honestly, you have a lot more play with where bubbles go and where, all this, like, everything sort of goes and lines up. But with the comic, with the actual book comic, you have to think about how the panels look side by side and how all this sort of stuff, so there's a lot more effort.
I feel like there's a lot more of a balance you need to strike here between,
well, and then you have to make
like,
sure it's
putting
like
enough
within
information
the stuff
on a page, but not overwhelming,
and where the
page,
bubbles go, so they're not like overlapping. In an Infinite Scroll, you actually have a lot more play with blank space. In a set comic, you really don't as much. You have to make blank space for bubbles and everything like that. So it's a little wild. So unfortunately, I'm forced to do thumbnails, which honestly, for anything ever at all, I am not a person that enjoys making thumbnails for art. I almost never ever do it. I find I'm a person that knows what I want right away, and I got it, but I'm just so new to this format that I really was struggling, and so I caved. and I did thumbnails. But that's not what we're working on today. What I'm working on today is lines, because oh my god, the backlog is starting to encroach upon the line backlog, and I am not prepared. And so here we are. But that
It
aside,
is blowing, honestly, that the backlog is just
it's
vanishing before our
yeah,
eyes.
it
I'm
was
like,
we started this, and I went, wow, 7 fully
we have
finished pages.
such a nice backlog. Like,
and
this will
like,
keep us
oh,
going
wow,
for
I have
so
so many
long.
lines done.
And now we're literally
I
like,
have
no,
30,
where did it go?
Yeah, and I was just like, oh god, the pain, the suffering, the scares.
I have to write more scripts. I have
Um,
to color more flats.
Yeah, I've had to color some entries because we're just breezing through, and it's pretty nuts, and just god.
Easy breezy, lemon peasy.
And so yeah,
But it's
there's a
still
lot.
fun. And
Oh,
that's
yeah.
the important thing.
I certainly enjoy it. And I miss lining and sketching sometimes, so it all works out in the end. But
I
with
have
that-
certainly missed coloring in the time.
And that's what
I have
means that
not
it's a
been
good
coloring.
comic. That means you like what you're
Exactly.
doing.
Because if you didn't miss it, then
Why are
what
you
are you
doing
doing?
it? Don't force
Why are you
yourself
doing
to do
it? If you're not having
And we'll
fun.
talk more about
why
that,
do it?
and I'll mention this again at the end. On Saturday, if
Yes!
you guys haven't seen in the Discord, Mars and I are holding a talk, I guess. I don't know, a presentation.
call it a
is what they call it.
presentation.
Yeah. That was the word I
I mean,
was
we have
looking for.
we have an official PowerPoint
We do have a
and
PowerPoint
everything.
about, so you want to make a webcomic, right? And that's sort of another place that we're going to tell about our journey, experiences, and recommendations for making a webcomic. Whether you're interested in that or not, or you just want to hear about our experience and our information, you like hearing us talk, show up. It's in Kaz the DM's Discord. The link is in our Discord, but you can also find it on Kaz the DM's Twitch or his YouTube. I think those are the main places he exists. But I'll mention this again at the end. But that is
off the top of my
Saturday
head.
at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, this Saturday. So we hope to see
Yes.
some of you there. And
It's
that'll
gonna be a
very
good
fun.
time. We'll be taking questions, so feel free to pop in with any you may have. We're more than happy to answer them as always.
Oh, indeed. And of course tonight if you have any questions, but
Oh, always. I thought that went without saying.
leaning into the talk we are having today is another installment of what I am lovingly calling Inspiration Station, where this time Mars gets to
Ooh,
talk
I
about.
like it.
Mars gets
Is
to
that
talk
the
about
official
something.
title on the video?
No, because honestly, there's too many words when we get there.
Yeah.
But
Oh well. In spirit,
it's
it's
a lot
still
of words.
awesome.
We in stream will call it Inspiration Station. And yeah, Mars gets to talk about something that has inspired her. Why don't you take it away?
Yes. Oh, thank you so much, Ori. So, when we, I thought honestly so hard about how I was going to present this story to you guys, because I have a, not to sound dramatic, I have a long, very personal history with Persona 4. It is my favorite game that I have never played, but it has resonated so deeply with me on a personal level that I do wholeheartedly believe that it almost changed the course of my life and how I go about things in my daily life. But that's not what we're here for. We're here for how it inspired my writing. Honestly, I was listening to the game soundtrack to hype myself up for this talk. I was basically taking a trip down memory lane just to bring back all those good feelings I had when I first found this game, and those feelings have not diminished. It is a great time. I am so happy to take a trip down nostalgia lane for you guys. So enough stalling. Here we go. To set the scene, I'm gonna take you back in time a little bit. I'm gonna tell you maybe a little of what was going on in my life at the time, and what led me to discovering Persona 4, to help establish that connection. So I was in about, I'd say it was high school at the time, and I was just kind of anime, but I wasn't watching too much of it. Maybe a couple things here and there, but definitely not as much as I watch nowadays. But what I was watching was a lot of animated music videos on YouTube, um, also known as AMVs. Still popular now, but they were really popular when Ori and I were in middle school, high school. And one channel that I followed one day uploaded an AMV from the Persona 4 anime, and it was put to the song Overcoming Me by Cutlass. So I watched it, and the visuals were really, really flashy. There were a lot of cool monster designs, there were a lot of cool fight animations and choreography, and it was enough to pique my interest and start doing a little bit of research. So I went to my anime list to see what it was all about, and I was like, okay, maybe I can add this to my list. And as I continued researching, I found out, oh, this anime is an adaptation of the video game. Well, if that's the case, why don't I just watch all the cutscenes from the video game instead? It's pretty much like watching the anime. Oh man, I had no idea about adaptations back then, but ignoring that. So I went to go watch it, and I found a playlist that had 108 videos. Some cutscenes, some little bit of fight, gameplay. That's the word, gameplay as well. But it was like
A
a
little
good
bit of
mix
fight.
of everything. It was a little bit of everything, a little bit of fight, exactly. Um, so I was like, okay, cool. Like, I've watched cutscenes from games before. Like, that was honestly what I did watch back then because I didn't feel like playing the whole game. What the hell? 108 episodes, each one's like an hour, basically committing myself to a month-long marathon.
Yeah.
But I went through with it. And it is a decision I will never regret because the way the story was told, characters were portrayed, just hit a chord with me that was very rare at the time. I think for I very much enjoyed reading. I read a lot of books growing up, but I don't recall ever having a moment of connection. Like, I felt for the characters. I was worried for them when something bad would happen. Never had a moment where I was like, oh, this resonates with me. This strikes a chord with me. I feel what this character is going through. That didn't happen until Persona 4. Now, to give you some context about the game, I'll give you a quick, brief synopsis. Persona is a series that does change its plot depending on which game you're playing. So the overarching bad guy, sorry, bad guy, does change from game to game, as does the way personas are. Now, the main thing that stays the same in each game is that your persona, the fight, basically a spiritual entity, ends from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure a la Part 3, is a form of your inner self, your true self. So, you are the new guy. You move to this small town and you don't really know what's going on there, but you're like trying to fit in. You have to stay there for a year. So you start meeting all these other characters and connecting with them, but suddenly some murders start happening in the town. And the big overarching, I did again, overarching, wow, that's going to be the word that gets me tonight. Okay. Let's
hold
go
on,
with that.
hold on
Overarching.
1 second. I'm going to change my headphones. Hold on 1 second.
Oh, okay. I'll wait.
Okay, yeah, because it might disconnect the way that stream picks up audio. So hold on.
Makes sense. Time out, chat.
All right, hello. Oh goodness, now everything is really loud. My goodness. My computer did not enjoy this. Discord settings.
Overarching. There we go.
Hello.
Hello. Are we audible, chat?
Did the audio quality change, or is that just me? If it's just me, then we're good. If it's everything, then we're bad.
Your audio quality sounds clear. I don't know if mine always sounds like this. Mine sounds like I'm in an echo chamber.
Yeah, that's what I don't understand.
And the lofi music was very loud.
Yeah, well, that was a thing, but oh,
Oh yeah, pastry puff confirms. Very, very loud.
talk now, Mars. Nope.
Use pastry puff.
Okay, I can hear you, but I don't know why the quality is so bad. Okay, the volume.
Is it something I need to do on my end?
It shouldn't be. It was fine before. I don't know why. Why your audio quality would suddenly go to poop, you know? Output. Yeah, why are you so echoey? I do not know why. Are we still very loud? Is it just Mars being echoey still?
We could take the time to fix it if you need, chat. We don't mind. Just the echo on me.
Why? That is so weird. Okay.
Is there a setting I can futz around with on my end?
It shouldn't be you. There's one last thing. Hi, Mazen. We're
Hi,
having a
Mazen.
Weird tech difficulty for some reason.
It wouldn't be one of our streams without a scuffing.
That is very true. It would not. Whoop. I'm gonna do one thing, Mars, and that's I'm gonna exit the call and come back.
Okay.
All right, let's talk about Mars behind her back. Don't tell her about anything like that. All right, hello?
Hello?
No, you're still really echoey. Are you set to your mic properly? This is really weird.
I should be. I didn't change anything on my end.
How odd.
How odd indeed.
Okay, there's one other thing I might try.
Okay. Let's give it a shot. If it doesn't work, we may have to continue like. As am I.
You are.
Am I echoey?
All right, one more thing. Hello? Okay, now you're very quiet, but I can fix that. Okay, try now, Mars. It's better, but not great. Why? I should, Now you should hear your own voice? No? Well, screw me for having my headphones die and be a dumb, but... Whoops. Alrighty. Oh, wait. Try now, Mars.
Hello.
Alright, chat should be able to hear you now.
Ah, there I am. And I don't sound echoey.
No, you do not. However, we lost the background music, but I feel like that's such as life. I don't exactly know how this is working.
Okay, Mason says, I am hearable. I am audible.
That is good. Now I get to test one more thing out. Well, you can continue talking.
Okay. Alrighty, sounds good. So, Mason, thank you for joining us. To catch you up, I am talking about one of my inspirations, Persona 4 tonight. So I was just giving a brief synopsis of all about. Oh, I'm loud. I'm loud, Ori.
Oh, you're very loud? Okay. Hold on. You're not very loud to me. That's why it's weird. Okay.
All right, let us know if it's better.
Try now.
Chat. Testing, testing. How's this? I'm fine? Okay. All right, cool, cool. I think we are good. Are you there?
I'm here, yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. You were so quiet. I'm like, where'd you
I was
go?
waiting for you to go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I was waiting for you to say like, "Oh, yay, we're good."
I mean, we're weird, but
That we are. We're always weird. We wouldn't be us if we weren't weird.
if the music is too loud, guys, that's the last thing, because I have gotten that back.
Okay, so we shall proceed. So, basically, the premise of Persona 4 is it is a supernatural mystery. Throughout the whole game, you are trying to solve these disappearances that are happening in your own home, not hometown because you just moved there, but you're trying to solve these mysteries happening in a small town. You're also on a time limit because you have to save these people from the supernatural world before they are killed. So you're also trying to prevent these murders from happening. And by doing that, you use these entities called personas, which, as I explained before, is a of the true self in accordance with the game's lore. And this actually plays a huge role in why I love Persona 4's storytelling so much. Now, I want to clarify when I say I love the storytelling, it's not the overarching plot that I love so much. While that's intriguing and I love mysteries very, very much, it is a pretty straightforward murder mystery, Mason. There's definitely like here's what's happening. Here's some clues. You start putting them together, and then you eventually work out who the big bad is. There's actually three different endings you can get. I think it's three or four. I know there's definitely a true ending, a neutral ending, and then a bad ending, like an outright bad ending that you can get if you make the wrong choice. And I think they actually added a badder ending
Oh my god.
in the golden version of the game, like the updated version. But that's neither here or there, because when I say I love Persona's writing, I'm not talking about the overarching story. I'm talking about the interactions between the player and the various NPC characters in the game. Because while your playable character is able to use their persona away, your party members are not. Now, how do your party members get these? They can be useful in battle. Well, they have to confront their true selves. So, one of the things I saw when I watched that AMV that put me on to wanting to see the series was I saw a lot of doppelgangers in that anime music video from the anime. So that was one of the things that drew me to it was like, "Ooh, doppelgangers, this look." It became a lot deeper than that. One of the first instances, and I will warn, there will be for at least the first three characters in the game. The characters I'll probably refer to the most are uh, Yosuke, Chie, and Yukiko. As it as it relates to their character development and their NPC stories. Um, but the first character is Yosuke, and you meet him on your first day of school in the game, and he portrays himself as like this happy-go-lucky guy. He's from the city is. So you kind of the game encourages you to find a kinship with him basically because you're kind of cut from the same cloth. He moved from the city to a small town, you move from the city to a small town. He's kind of showing you the ropes, he's kind of helping you along. He's your first friend that you make, and through him you meet all the other characters. So the game develops where eventually you do go into this supernatural world to rescue someone or they're murdered. And while they're in this supernatural world, something strange starts happening. The way this world works is that it basically takes the part of yourself that you hate the most, makes it physical. So all those doppelgangers that I was seeing in the anime were the personification of the worst side of themselves, the parts they want to ignore, the parts they don't want to confront. And for Yosuke, that part was basically he wanted to fit in. He felt rejected by everyone. Like, even though he puts on this happy go lucky persona, well,
Haha.
there it is. Ha ha ha. That's not how he really feels. And he shoves it down so far that he's ignored it all this time. Now, in the game, the are ruthless. They taunt their hosts by saying, like, this, I think that, like, they will voice these thoughts that the character has had but wants to push away. Now, I don't know if you guys have had this experience. Maybe this is universal. I think it's universal because I think we've all had a moment where we've had a thought about something. Doesn't matter what it is, but we've all felt something and then we're like, "Wow, I don't want to acknowledge that. That's too painful, that's too mean, that's too much. I can't process that. I'm just going to push it aside and either hope it goes away or ignores it." Now imagine if you had that part of yourself in front of your face, throwing every word you thought right back at you. And that you find out is what's causing the murders. When people get thrown into the supernatural world, they, for the most part, cannot handle uh confronting this part of themselves. And by rejecting that part, that's what creates the monster that ultimately ends up killing them. So in the game, it's pretty formulaic. What ends up happening with every new character is you find them in this supernatural world and they're confronted by their other self. It's a part face. They end up screaming, "You're not me." And boom, the other self evolves into monster and a boss battle begins after a very long
Dun, dun,
dungeon.
dun, dun, dun,
Dun,
dun.
dun, dun, dun. Oh, if you want me to talk about the music of Persona 4, holy crap! But again, there. Um, that was such an interesting premise. Now keep in mind, I I was probably in high school at this point. The AMV I watched, uh, it was like for some kind of competition that came out in 2013. So I know it was definitely sometime after that because it had been submitted. Um, but it was such a unique concept to me. Like up until this point, I had only played games like Pokemon or I think I had played Dragon Quest on the DS as well, and like obviously some Mario and Sonic here and there. Not exactly the deepest of storytelling, especially when you think about your typical RPG. Like sure, in Pokemon there are stakes invested, but you're not invested in the character's emotions. You're not invested in like, oh, how are things going to go from here? So this really struck a chord with me. And it definitely it stayed with me. It definitely stayed with me cuz I mean, it's very hard for me to talk about Persona 4 without getting a little bit personal. I when I discovered Persona, I was definitely going through a little bit of a rough patch myself. When I say like it's a universal experience that people have sides of themselves they don't want to confront, I started thinking about like what would my other self look like? What would say to me? Would I be able to accept them or would I reject them like the characters did? Um it was just a concept that really stuck with me and stayed with me for a long time, and I actually did do a couple, writings about that. Oh, good night,
Good night,
Mason.
Mason.
No worries. Gotta do
Go get it
school.
done. Thanks for hanging out.
You got this. Oh, let me catch up with the pastry pups thing. I need to pay attention to chat.
Yeah.
Persona 5 is really good. I definitely prefer Persona 5 for the style. Um the characters are definitely good. Um, but as I'm about to get into, there is a reason why Persona 4 just resonates with me a lot more than Persona 5 did. And one of those reasons is the simplicity of it. Like the issues that the characters have to confront. Like with Yosuke, he couldn't accept that I want to fit in. I want to be liked by everyone, but everyone hates me because I'm this big shot city boy whose dad moved in, started a business that's like taking out all the small towns, but like why should I be blamed for that? That's not my fault. But he's pushing that part of himself aside. Like that's a problem I think not everyone could relate to, but people could kind of look at that and see, okay, I see where he's coming from. Like that's down to earth.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Um
My dad wasn't a big city, mogul guy pushing out small business.
yeah, oh, so unrelatable.
I know.
The next two characters, they definitely resonated with me the most. Chie and Yukiko kind of have a parallel story. Um, when you meet them, they are best friends. Yukiko runs an inn with her family, and Chie is kind of like the tomboy uh protector for Yukiko. Like she's kind of made herself the protector of their relationship. Like, "Oh, I'll stand up for you. I'll take care of you." You get into the supernatural world, it's to save Yukiko because she's the next for the murders. So you have to go into the supernatural world to save her before time runs out. And you bring Chie with you the first time. Um, and in the game, once you reach that world, you're confronted by Chie's other self. And Chie's other self starts talking about how scared she is to lose Yukiko, how much she needs her to need her. And at one point, the Shao starts talking about, like, oh, it's not just Yukiko, it needs you. You just want to be needed by somebody because you need some kind of purpose in your life. Because if people don't need, what purpose do you have? Now, again, I cannot speak for everybody, but I think personally that is a fucking relatable topic if you have any kind of relationship in your life. That's kind of what I mean when I say it's down to earth problems. It's down to earth emotions and problems that are kind of, I'm trying to think of the word for it. It's basic heightening them, right?
Mm.
Like, cuz essentially
Exaggerated?
what's happening, maybe exaggerating could be the word. I'm trying to think how to describe it because basically what's happening is everything you see in the cutscenes with the characters confronting their other selves, that's a conversation that someone could have just in their thoughts. Like you can think to yourself, "Oh, I think this one way, but then I think this other way. Well, now these two ideologies are clashing. What do I do?" You're just taking that inner process and giving it physical form.
So kind of
Um
anthropomorphizing your own thoughts in a weird way?
Definitely. Yeah, I'd say that's a good way to describe it because that's what the other self is in the game. It is the manifestation of the parts of themselves that they hate, that they want to ignore. Now it's given in physical form and they can't ignore it anymore. And the only way to proceed in the game, well, first you have to get through a boss battle once the other self becomes a monster. But once you subdue it, eventually the characters realize this, I have to accept this side of myself. It's a part that I hate. It's ugly, but that I can work, I can do better. Like this is not the end of the road for me. And the moment their other self or shadow is accepted and they say you are me, then it becomes a persona, and that's how they get their powers. And
Stand up, power.
yes, achievement unlocked. And here's the other thing I love about the writing in this game. They could have easily just left it at, okay, these characters are deeper than they thought. There's more going on under the surface. We see that in the dungeons, we see that in them confronting their shadows. Okay, we can stop here. We've done our job. But thanks to another mechanic in the game, we get so much more. See, there's a mechanic in the game. Now, your character never had to confront their shadow. They just had the persona because of other plot reasons that I won't go into because we will honestly be here all night. But for those reasons, your character is able to have his persona. And he uses all types of other personas that are built through increasing his relationships with his real life friends. So, by increasing your relationship to your friends, you're able to increase the persona that relates to your friend and then use it in battle. And what they do in these scenes is further the other characters' growth and their stories. So for example, I'll take Yukiko as an example since I haven't talked about her yet. Her uh her confrontation with her shadow is all about how she is so reliant on Chie. That's why I said they had a parallel story, because Chie wants to be needed and Yukiko feels like she's too dependent on Chie. So now you have a little bit of a conflict going on here. But Yukiko taunts her with, "You are useless. You can't do anything for yourself. You're always relying on other people. It's just easier to sit back and let others take care of the problem." And this is very upsetting to Yukiko. She says, "You're not me." The whole fight pursues, and then at the end she accepts that as who she is, but she's going to work on it. Now, what does she do to work on it? Well, through various cutscenes in the game and through choosing to hang out with her, she starts learning how to cook. She then decides, like, hey, maybe I don't want to run my family's inn. Maybe I want to go traveling. Maybe I want to like try other things. Maybe I want to open. I think if I remember correctly, she wanted to open a restaurant. I remember cooking became a big thing with her, but she was like really bad at it. That was kind of the running gag. Um,
Have you played Persona 5, Mars? I have not played any Persona games,
I
Pastry Puff.
I have played one dungeon of Persona 5 with a friend, and again, I love the style of Persona 5. It is very flashy. It has clearly had an impact on the media, that because it is everywhere. It is in our video games, it is in our anime. Like ever since Persona 5 came out, we have gotten media with more saturated colors, with more flashy what's the word, iconography, is that the word I'm thinking of?
Iconography, maybe?
Possibly iconography. um while I absolutely love it, I do not think I have played enough of it to really make a judgment on those characters. I Persona 5 is an interesting story for me because it just goes into a whole bunch of other uh other personal things of mine. Honestly, I kind of had, I will be totally honest with you guys. I found out about Persona 5 in a way that wasn't exactly the best discovery, let's say. Um, yeah, without going too much into detail, I basically thought it was going to be like Persona 4. I thought it was going to continue the story, and then I realized like it was basically something else entirely. Now, I didn't know that about the franchise then, so I was like, "Oh, well, why would I be interested in that? These aren't the characters I love. This isn't the story I love. This is a whole new thing." Which again, back then I was very very biased. I do think Persona 5 is a good game. But I do need to play it in order to make a full judgment of it. And I'm hoping someday I will. It is on my
See,
list.
that's so funny, Mars. Pastry Puff is saying that you've convinced them to play Persona 4 because and they weren't going to play it for exactly the reason you wanted to play Persona 5. They thought they were the same storylines as Persona 5, but with different characters. But this sounds so much cooler.
Oh, I'm glad, Pastry Puff. I highly recommend Persona 4. It was just God, I can't even explain it. I kind of get a little emotional talking about it. That's why I knew this had to be the first thing I talked about with because not only did it kind of shape how I dealt with my life going forward, like seeing the interactions with friendships and seeing like the different paths it could lead, because you played Persona 5, you know there's definitely more than one way to develop the relationship with certain characters. Like it kind of shows you how that can go and what the outcomes will be, and to learn
Well,
from that. And I
so
definitely kind of carried that with me. But I also carried the character development with me. And just the whole idea of there's so much more going on underneath what's on the surface. That's those are the characters I gravitate towards nowadays. And I do fully believe it started with Persona 4 for me because like I said up until that point I hadn't played or seen a game that really tackled those topics. Like it was mostly like again PGs, you're the nameless protagonist and you're just to be the hero. Now that's certainly true in Persona 4. You're here to solve a murder, you're here to stop these disappearances from happening. All the while, you're also kind of being a therapist for the NPCs in the game. And you're watching them grow and develop and become people because of their connections to each other. Oh, gee, where have I heard that before? Is that not how we describe Hotsun, Milano, and our boys? Gee, I wonder if some elements of Persona 4 worked their way into our comic.
What?
What? Crazy. Um, but yeah, Ori, I'm sure you know because we watch anime together. Like, person who does focus on like oh what's the hidden meaning behind what this character is doing, what's this reveal going to show us about their personality, their psychology, like
Yeah, what did
you've
you
heard
figure out the
me
other day and then I
before.
wasn't going to give you the second thing?
Oh, it was Demon Slayer with oh crap, I can't remember his name, but he was the Miss Tashira. He had a very sad backstory.
Muichiro, but what was the first part about Muichiro? The second part was you wanted him to be Yuichiro and it
Oh
was a
no no no
twist.
no! It was Genya as the demon. That was the first thing I got right. Sort
Ah.
of. Halfway maybe.
Oh, yeah, we don't really know
We're
what's up with him
still
if we're being
unclear on that.
honest.
They didn't really give us an answer.
They just went, he kind of eats them somehow, and question mark,
Shrug.
and then that was it.
We'll reveal it in season 5, which just got announced on my an anime list.
What's funny is just that very brief
Season 4,
tangent.
not 5.
Is the fact that with that sort of like, yeah, something's going on with him, but we really don't know what. But you know, honestly, nobody's got time to talk about that right now. We're fighting demons. Is very much the like Outcast vibe of nobody asking Hotsun's name until entry 13 or 12 or
Oh,
whatever it was.
definitely. Well, because the whole idea is the intruder is priority. Hell is this guy doing on our island? We need to find out who he is. We need to get him off, and then we can breathe because then we'll be. This guy is so wimpy, he couldn't hurt a fly, so we don't need to worry about him.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Pastry
Jet
Puff.
just died.
Did Jet just die?
It's
Who
very
knows?
unclear. Uh, Flashbacks. Um, but yeah, and don't get me wrong. I think the reason I do get so emotional about Persona 4, the reason I have such fond memories of it is because I did discover it at a time in my life where, admittedly, my friendships were not at their greatest. I had been through a couple rough patches in my personal life and my relationships, and just that game came at just the perfect time in my life. Like I needed that game. And I did see a lot of myself in some of the characters. I think it resonated with me so much because it felt like the writers had reached into me and pulled out these little tiny pieces here and there and just stuck them in these characters and said, "Here you go. Here is a comprehensible way of seeing and understanding how you yourself are feeling. And in turn, this is going to help you understand how your own emotions work." Now, I'm certainly not saying by any means that has to achieve that. I think that's a excuse me. I think that would be a monumental feat if that's the case. Um, but at the same time, I know I've definitely gone on and on Comic Corner about how much I want the characters to be relatable, how much it would mean if someone looks at the character and says like, you know what, I kind of see myself in Hotsun. I kind of see myself in Milano. And I think we do learn a lot from the media that we consume. I think when we character that we connect with, not only do we feel maybe just a little bit, but we're given a little bit of a guide to how we can be better people. Not to get too mushy on you guys, but I do genuinely think that. And I think if Outcasts were to achieve that, I would cry. I would absolutely cry if that happened. Um, but yeah, in terms of writing, in terms of the media I consume, Persona 4 definitely influenced a lot of that. Like, I know we've talked about Sarah Zamai on here a couple of times. It's very much characters enter supernatural world, have to confront emotions they don't want to deal with, have to confront parts of themselves they don't want to think about, and they end people for having done
You've
so
convinced
once
multiple
they
people now,
come out
Mars,
the
to
other
play this
side.
game.
Oh, I'm so glad. Ah, it's it's definitely an older game. Like I said, like I started this out, Persona 4 is my favorite game that I have never played. I have never actually played the game. I've only seen the dialogue bits, the cutscenes, and some of the dungeon crawling that involved dialogue during it. So I do know from what I've heard that if I'd recommend getting it on maybe Switch. I know it's also available on Steam as well. I myself have it on Steam. I do intend to play it. Um, but then I heard tell of like glitches during the cutscenes. And the cutscenes are obviously my favorite part. So I
Mars
was
is like,
like,
this is
I
what I'm
don't want
going
to
for. What
ruin
do you
my
mean?
experience. Wait, what was that, Ori?
Mars is like, this is what I'm here for. What do you mean glitches on the cutscenes?
Exactly. Like honestly, the cutscenes, the dialogue are Persona 4 in my opinion. Like the dungeon crawling, the mechanical aspects, that feel like yes, it's the meat of the game because at the end of the day, it's a game that you're supposed to play and interact with. But to me personally, it was a story. That was how I initially consumed it, and that's what I value the most from it. So there there is a little bit of a fear that if I were to actually play it, I I don't know how mechanically I would like it.
Hmm.
And I will admit I am a little scared to kind of taint the memories that I do have and the fondness that I do
That's
have by
always the
having like
nostalgia difficulty, yeah?
clunky mechanic shadowing it. That's why I say like I know they do make it for Switch. I know they make it for Steam, which will probably be better than the original. I think it was PS2 or PS3. It was one of those, but oh man, I feel old.
Hmm.
But yeah, definitely the newer ones I've heard are less clunky, so you'll probably have a good chance with that. If not, the playlist I originally watched all the way back in 2014 was deleted, sadly. I had saved the playlist to my save playlist, obviously redundant. Uh, and I came back to it one day, and it was gone. And I was kind of really bummed about that. I
Mm.
was really fucking sad. Um, But then I did discover a video on YouTube, Persona 4 the movie. I believe it is 8 hours long. It has all the cutscenes, all the dialogue bits, a little bit of the fights, and it's all there. So I saved that and it is never leaving my playlist now. I'm actually considering downloading it just so I never lose it again.
That's a long video to download, though.
It's a long video to download, but clearly, like, whew, clearly it is worth it. But yeah, if I've convinced you guys to play Persona 4, I am
Or
very,
watch an
very
8-hour
happy.
YouTube video.
Or watch it. Originally, I did find this game by learning it was an anime first. Ironically enough, I have not watched the anime yet, even to this day. I'm considering it. I do know there are some of my favorite voice actors in the dub, so I may watch it that way. I think actually they brought back the voice actors from the game to do the anime.
Mm.
So that's nice. It's like I don't have to get used to a whole new set of voices. I can just enjoy the voices I'm used to because yes, these voices belong to these characters. It's not weird alternate dimension,
Mm-hmm.
alternate timeline shenanigans. But yeah, it's Persona 4 definitely one of the first pieces of media to resonate with me so deeply. And then following that, I discovered more pieces of media that resonated with me in a similar way because apparently I have a type when it comes to storytelling.
We all have a type, you just have to find it.
We all very much have a type. And that's the funny thing when you think about it. Like I a note to kind of wrap up with is that as a writer, yeah, I read a lot of books growing up.
Yeah,
And
accurate face rebuff, though. I'm gonna have to watch it dub and not sub.
yeah, it's going to be tricky. Uh yeah, I read a lot of books and I think I find it shocking that much of my inspiration aren't books. A lot of
Hmm.
my inspirations are TV series or cartoons. Barely any of them are books. And rather than look at that and say, "Oh wow, so as a writer like you value visual media more than the written media." Not necessarily. I'd rather think of it as you can find your inspiration wherever you want. If it resonates with you, then that's what resonates with you. There's no shame in taking inspiration from video games, taking inspiration from maybe a play that you saw or a song that you heard, even if it doesn't align with what you think you should be taking inspiration from. Like I'm sure we've all heard the classic like, "Oh, you're an author. Uh were you inspired by Jane Austen? Were you inspired by uh oh, I don't want to say that, but it's the only author coming to mind. You know the one I'm talking about. No, known for a certain wizarding series."
um,
But I think it does kind of confuse people when you're a writer and you say like, "Yeah, no, it
yeah,
wasn't
Stephen
books
King, another writer.
that sparked the inspiration." Stephen King, you got it, Oscar. I don't know why I was so afraid to say that name. Stephen King. Perfect.
Um,
But
it
yeah.
kind of reminded you, kind of roundabout reminded me of the main quote from Ratatouille,
Oh
about
yeah.
how it's like, that
Anyone can
anyone can
cook.
cook is not that everybody can be a great chef. It's that a great chef can come from anywhere, right? And so it's the idea of like
Mm.
not every piece of media is good, right? Is inspirational, but inspiration can come from anywhere, right?
Yeah. I think that's definitely the takeaway. And hopefully in the future I get to share some more of my inspirations with you guys, because I have two more in mind
Yes,
that I'm
we do plan to
considering.
come back to this setup again.
Yes.
It just has to cycle through.
Inspiration Station. I believe it'll be Ori's turn next.
Yes.
Um, but yeah, I that concludes it. At least for me talking about Persona 4. Obviously, we're still going to stay on until our normal time. But if anyone has any questions, comic writing about Persona 4, I'm more than happy to talk about.
Yes, my brain is honestly doing way
Oh,
too many things because of our slightly scuffed stream setup. But you guys aren't, in theory, detrimented. I am, though, and so it's like, oh, Mars is very quiet compared to the music on my end. So it's like taking a lot of brain power.
yeah. Hopefully that didn't get too mushy for you guys.
Mars is a sappy one. And don't
You
think
know.
that I'm the one who was having the tumultuous friendship. No, no, no. They were other
Oh,
people.
no,
Mars
no,
and
no,
I
no, no, no,
have
no.
been
Other
always good.
people, other people. I'm sorry, Ori. I didn't preface it with that.
I don't think anyone thought that. Just making a joke about it. Obviously, it wasn't me. I'm the perfect friend, duh.
Oh, or Ori's perfection. Can't be
Don't
me.
think that this goes this way.
Sheesh.
Sheesh.
Throwing that shade.
What's really funny, so if you guys noticed in the Discord, I had named myself Oramus Prime as a Transformer pun and to differentiate myself from the account that got hacked. And I had the idea just like today, and I was like, oh my god, it'd be so funny if like there were puns for Dylan and Mars for Transformers. Now, I don't know about you, Mars, but Dylan and I have not really seen much, if any at all, of the Transformers, universe of things. So when talking to Dylan, he was like, I don't really know anything about the Transformers, and I was like, I don't care. The pun is funny. Like, let's just do it anyway. But do you
I
know?
I will not claim to know too much about the universe. I saw the first movie. I feel like I saw the second movie. I think I fell asleep on the third
I definitely
movie.
saw the first movie.
I
That's
know
all
I
I can
went to
guarantee.
theaters to see the fourth movie, and it was entirely forgettable.
You've gotten a
And
lot farther than I have. I definitely only saw the first
definitely have not
movie.
seen anything since. I only saw 2 and 3 because like they happened to be on TV, and it was just like, okay, well, I like the first one. Let's see if the second one, oh no. Oh dear. Oh bad.
Yeah, I only remember seeing the first one ever, and that was it. So I have a very vague general idea of Decepticons, Autobots, Optimus Prime, and Megatron, and Bumblebee. Those are like all the ones I can name off the top of my head. So I was like, you
Uh
know what? With that limited knowledge in
I
my brain, we can have beautiful pun names, Mars, Dylan, and I, and so we did it.
you reminded me of Bumblebee, and the one thing I hated about him. I could not stand that they gave Bumblebee a voice in later movies.
Uh, it's definitely
I
weird.
it not only is it weird, but it's like, you know how like think of a story like How to Train Your Dragon, where the communication is entirely like, okay, look at the facial expressions, look at the body language. Like, you had that and then you just throw that out the window. It's like, oh,
You
you
don't
had
remember anything? Yeah.
something good and you threw it in the trash. Why?
They
Why would
didn't
you do
want
that?
to have to think of more pop radio songs that he could tune to on the radio.
Ugh, just bad, bad. Yeah, it is like if they gave Toothless a voice.
Yeah.
It's like, why? Why would you do that? The emotional connection was fine without that. It was actually interesting because you know, it's how to describe it. I'm trying to think of an way of describing this. You just read so much more into body language, right? There's actually, okay, this is not inspiration, but it could be a recommendation. There's an anime called Dororo. It came out, I believe, in 2018, 2019. I don't remember which, but it is about a swordsman who basically lost his entire body because
Hmm.
his father is an asshole.
Ah, well.
Um, hi Long story short, his father wanted to be the most powerful. Yeah, Oscar, you know it. Awesome, great. Oh, it's phenomenal. Yeah, or just to give you some backstory. Basically, the main character's father sells his son, his newborn child,
Mm.
to the gods to become the basically most powerful uh person in
A
feudal
thing every
Japan.
day old wants.
Yeah. So he sells his son and they take his skin, his arms, his legs, like basically and his sight and his voice. Like he has nothing now. Pass out the son, they try to get rid of him, but eventually he's found by another gentleman who's made prosthetics before, so he builds him an entirely new. One of the badass things is that he can take off his forearms and it reveals samurai swords.
Mm.
It's very badass. I honestly love this anime. I would show it to you. It does end happy, but I'm not sure if it's entirely your cup of tea. We might have to discuss it. And we also have so much other stuff to watch. So it's not priority, but it is very, very good. But the character Dororo is not the samurai. Dororo is actually a little kid that the samurai meets on his travels. Have the kid talking up a storm, and the main character, his name is Hyakimaru, he can't hear because he doesn't have hearing, he doesn't have his speech, and he is blind as well. So now you have to build this connection between these two characters where it's almost entirely one sided, but you still feel the growing connection between them. One of the things that happens in the series is that as he beats these demons in the land, he slowly gets parts of his body back. So at one point, one of the demons he defeats actually allows him to get his voice back. I think it's in episode 8. It's actually one of my favorite episodes for this reason. He and the kid get separated and Hakimaru just starts like screaming. He's just like vocalizing. He's not even making words. He's just screaming. And one of the other characters is like, "Why is he doing that? What's happening? Is he calling out for Dororo? What's going on?" But it's like you understand, like, oh, this connection they built, like now he's worried for him. Now he cares. Now he's concerned. And you hear it in the voice actor's portrayal. It's like, oh, that's top tier shit. Top tier freaking shit. It was also really cool to see a character with a disability as well.
That was what was kind of interesting about what was it? Primal? Is that what that's called?
The
The
one with the caveman?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was interesting. It was all almost entirely no words. And when it was
Yeah.
words, it was a language that we didn't know, right? Except for that very singular episode where we were forward in time with like Darwin and whatever, which was kind of weird. But
You
every
know,
other time, it was like, uh,
uh-huh.
you it was nonverbal. It was all grunts and noises and stuff, but there was no talking at all. So it was very interesting to sort of
And that's
show.
the sorry.
Yeah, no, it was just to show like how the dinosaur and the caveman Sphere and Fang like start trusting each other and getting along and going all this sort of stuff.
And that's the power of the medium, right? Like that's the power of taking advantage of what your medium allows you to do. Because if you don't have dialogue, what else can you rely on? Well, you can rely on the animation, you can rely on the body language, the facial expressions, the soundtrack to get across the emotion you're trying to get. It's just a different way of doing it. Oscar, yes, I have heard of Gangsta. I specifically want to see it because of Nicholas, and the fact that he is deaf. Like, honestly, so guys, you know what my field of study is. It is communication disorders. I I wouldn't say I seek out media that specifically has characters that are deaf or have difficulty with speech, but it definitely intrigues me when I know there is a character who is deaf or has difficulty with speech because, like, that's my field and I want to see how people are being portrayed in media. So, yeah, definitely on my list, Oscar. I haven't watched it yet, but maybe over this break I can finally get to it. Oh, I've heard of Blank Pastry Puff. My mom actually loves that game. She saw a trailer for it. We were watching I think it was E3. No, no, not E3. It was just a Nintendo Direct. They don't do E3s anymore. So sad. Um, but we were watching a blank and she was like, "Can you buy this game? It looks so cute." I was like, "Really? Okay, sure." Yeah. Oh, I love stuff like that, pastry puff. Cuz it's like it's almost like a way of communicating that we're not used to, right? Like sure we will rely on body language and facial expressions to get more information. That actually has a specific word. It's called pragmatics. But for the most part, we as humans rely a lot on spoken word to get a point across or to convey something to another person. So when you take away that option, it makes it all the more intriguing in my opinion. I just absolutely love it. Does it have a happy ending, pastry puff? Like I'm just curious, asking for me because I don't want to cry. I cried out all my tears with Spiritfarer. That, oof, amazing game. Absolutely love it.
Heart-wrenching as hell.
Very heart wrenching.
Mars doesn't care about spoilers. If chat cares about
I
spoilers, don't read Pastry Puff's next message.
Pastry Puff, let me tell you something about me. I don't care about spoilers, and I know this is not the same for everybody, and I respect the hell out of that.
Well,
I
she's
just
forced to
know
care about spoilers for Ace Attorney solely
I'm
because it
forced to
has to do
care
with
about
solving the
that.
mystery. That's
Yeah,
like story-wise, I wouldn't care as much. Like I do want Ace Attorney. Usually, I don't care about spoilers
but
either because if it's
be a
good,
blind playthrough that we're
it doesn't
experiencing
matter.
together. Yeah.
Well, if the story's good, it doesn't matter, right? Like
Well,
twists and
that's the
reveals and
thing.
deaths
Because if
don't.
someone tells me, "Oh, A, B, and C happens," that's only one part. I want to know, "Oh, what are the emotions leading up to that? What's the plot leading up to that? What do the characters do? Like what's the fallout of it?" Like
That's Dylan too, Pastry Puff. Dylan hates
there's so
spoilers
many little
altogether.
bits that eventually lead up to that. So for me, the experience between hearing about it and actually watching it is so different. That's why I don't mind
I don't
spoilers.
think there's ever been a time that something has been spoiled for me in a way that made it not good, like not equally enjoyable in the end. Because
I've
I'm also like
never
I
experienced
rewatch
that.
stuff all the time, man. So if I'm rewatching it, a spoiler doesn't matter. But yeah, Ace Attorney is the sole thing where I'm like, no, you all have to be. Dylan, I don't worry about, but Mars, I'm like, Mars, you have to be good about this one because it's
I am
solely.
being
Oh,
good.
she is being good. She hasn't been bad yet, but
Yet. Wow, way to have
there's
faith in me.
there's six more games, Mars. We got a long way to go.
You're unbelievable.
But
Yet.
the
What's this
point
yet? I'm offended.
the point
Nah, I'm
is
not. I'm
that
playing.
that has the mystery aspect to it, right? That has the like solving the case as well. So if we knew, say, Von Karma was the murderer, like it wouldn't have been as good. Like that whole thing wouldn't have been as good. If we knew that Madame Guard had that reveal, it wouldn't have been as good for us because of we would know how to play the game, and that's the part we didn't. That's the big part. A
So
fox and a
pastry
hound type
puff,
ending. Oh no, Marju will cry.
pastry puff. I weep at Fox and the Hound. No matter how many times I've seen it, I always cry at it.
I'm
So,
gonna tell you, I'm
oof,
surprised
sign me up.
at myself so far that I've managed to not like fully cry for anything in Ace Attorney yet. I've like
I have not cried at
I,
Ace Attorney
I
yet.
have not, and I
I
think
mean,
I
I've
think
I've had like oh my heart type
yeah,
moments, but not full on blubbering.
I
And
think the
trust me, you guys
reason
will know when I cry. Ori's heard it while watching Bluey. She
I
no, Ori heard it when we were watching the finale of that was a full on weep.
the finale of what?
But
Oh my god, you cut out at the same
remember
word both times.
Buddy
Ah,
Daddies.
yes, Buddy Daddies.
I weeped like I was sobbing into a tissue. Oh, that ending got to me.
I'm definitely one to cry very easily, but I think the reason Ace Attorney hasn't gotten me yet is because it's intense at the same time, right? Since I'm the
Mm.
one playing the game and like having to figure it out, I'm not as like able to just sort of sit back and sob.
You're like, I gotta hit enter, but my tears are dripping on the keyboard.
But, so there hasn't been anything like that yet that has gotten me over the like brain needs to be at peak optimum performance in order to get through. Versus like I feel like when I watch the anime I might end up crying at some point.
Mm.
Just because I'm sitting back at that point.
You very well might.
Oh no, did I do a stupid? Okay, I
No,
didn't
it's
do a
behind
stupid.
his leg.
Okay, good.
You
No,
good? You good?
I thought that I had merged the layer on this sketch layer, and that was gonna
Oh.
be a problem.
Ooh.
Yeah, it didn't though. It's good. I didn't though.
Yay! But that sounds really like a really good game, Pastry Puff. I think I just gotta build myself up to playing it.
Steal yourself.
Brace myself, as it were.
Oh no. Yeah. All right. Getting all
Ah,
these lines done. Oh, look at this
that's
guy looking
fabulous.
down at you. Look at that. Look at that
Oof.
angle. Oscar, I know you like Ferrex. Look, we got lots of Ferrex here. We got Ferrex doing amazing acrobatic feats. I love the superhero landing pose. He looks so smug. The boy.
I'm curious, Pastry Puff, is it a already seen or is it something we haven't seen yet? Would it be considered spoilers? Because I'm wondering what got to you in the anime that didn't get to you in the game.
I feel like if I remember, it was something in Trials and Tribulations, and then
Which
this
which
one.
case was it?
Was it the one we just did? Pharaoh, my turnabout?
Oh, I feel like that's a easy one to cry over.
I feel like about how it's portrayed, uh, Turnabout Goodbyes could get me.
Oh,
Oh,
Turnabout
Turnabout
Big
Big
Top.
Top. Wow.
Oh, okay.
The one I very much expect is Turnabout Goodbyes to get me.
Oh yeah. He's gonna be like, oof, my heart.
Yeah. I have like a list of things I have to do with Dylan. He has to voice record stuff. I have to make him pose for stuff. So it's like we might get our one Superman and that's it.
Oh, I need to watch Superman.
You need to. It's so good.
I know. I saw a clip of the little wizard guy turning Superman into the different versions of Superman. He was
Yes.
a crab in one of them.
Yes. And then he comes back and he's like, was I a crab? Yeah, he's great.
It looked great.
Mr. Mixie's Pitalik.
So, Pastry Puff, I'm very curious since you say they do it better in the anime than they did the game. What got to you? Was it the voice acting? Was it the music that was playing? Was it
Whose
how the
part?
shots
Was
were
it Acro's
composed
like plea?
following the scene where
Mm.
Acro was caught? Okay. Is that the scene where they're all deciding to continue carrying on like working at the circus, like making it the best it can be?
No, I think that's the very end.
Oh, I thought that was the scene following Acro being caught.
Mm-mm. I thought that was the very end. I don't know.
Well, whichever it is.
Oh, this is a good question for Ace Attorney people in chat. We plan to do a tier list of the cases after the groupings of games, right? So we have like the main trilogy, the secondary trilogy, and the 2 investigations. Those are the 3 groups, right? So after Trials and Tribulations, we'll do a tier list of the cases in the trilogy. Now, the way I want to do this is I don't really want to give just Dylan, Mars, and I each a tier list and we fill it out on our own. Like, not as fun, not as good. What I want to do is I want to do it that we each have to make a vote about out of 5 for different categories that pertain to each case, right? So I'm thinking like out of 5, how do you rate the story, the mystery, the characters,
The mechanics.
I debate mechanics, bless you, because most of the mechanics follow through all of the cases. So that's why I'm unsure if I want to do mechanics, right? Because it's like the Magatama is just in the second game.
So maybe we could rate like mechanics for overall game.
Yeah, but that's not really part of the tier list.
I feel like it does contribute to enjoyment.
I was gonna put like the investigation in general, and that could go with mechanics.
Okay, I could see that.
Because I feel like Turnabout Samurai's investigation was not enjoyable. 0 out of 5. Do you think the main villain should be separate than the overall characters? Mars or Pastry Puff, or both?
I would say separate, personally.
Separate?
Because the that's a tough one because characters is like a broad overview. And for the most part, the culprit, like before you find out they're the culprit, is considered like just one of the other characters until you narrow it down to them. I think what we could do is take it by character breakdown. If you want to make the breakdown its own category. Or the reveal.
I feel like I don't want to make breakdown its own category just because there's only not all of them have the same level, even close, like even try to be,
But reveal can encompass who the villain is as well as their breakdown. So we could just call it like
the reveal happens really early. We know Red White is the killer. We know Frank Sawit is the killer. Like we know who's the killer.
Well, we the players know. Phoenix definitely didn't.
I would put villain as a separate category. I think just having villain as a separate one is better. So that gives 5 then, right? We want story, mystery, investigation, characters, and villain. I think that's a good 5.
Okay. I would agree.
And then so a perfect 25 is the highest score something could get.
Okay, that rounds out very nicely, actually. I like that.
Write this down. Character. Villain / culprit. And they're not all villainous. Story. Mystery. Investigation. And then that'll put it on the tier list, right? So they'll all get like a score out of 25. total.
Mhm.
And then that can go into
Nice.
like the tier list of being like S tier is like 20 to 25, right? And A tier is like 15 to 20. You know, I would do the math properly. It would be like
Okay.
21 to 25 would be S tier. And then
I
like
see what you're going for.
16 to 20 would be A tier. And 11 to 15 would be B tier. My favorite
My favorite taste is Turnabout
Turnabout
Goodbyes.
Goodbyes. So
Hands
far,
down.
nothing has topped it. And that's because I give it like 5 out of 5 in pretty much all of the categories. Nah, I'd probably lower. Characters are probably like 3 out of 5 because we hate Lotta and Yanni was okay.
Yeah.
But those are really the only characters you get new in those two. I don't think there's literally anybody
You
else.
get Larry, you get
Look,
Lotta.
you get Larry back, and then you get
Well, you
Lotta,
get
which we
Larry
hate,
back.
and then you get Yanni, and that's it. Those are and Von Karma,
Yanni
but he
Yogi,
was in the
that's right.
villain. Von Karma, 5 out of 5 villain.
Von Karma
Story,
is a 5 out of 5 villain. He's been a looming presence the entire time through Miles Edgeworth, and now you finally get to confront him and beat
story,
him as
5
your
out of
game.
5. We get so much
So satisfying.
lore with Miles. We get so much Miles character growth. And mystery, I loved solving that case. That's what tips it over the edge versus the one we just did, Farewell My Turnabout. The mystery was better for me in this one by a lot. Uh,
Mm.
I think that's where it really outweighs, in a big part, Farewell My Turnabout.
I thought the stakes of Farewell My Turnabout were good.
The
Like
story,
I would say
see,
the
and this is
stakes
why I
between
separated
both
the
those cases were absolutely phenomenal.
but this is why I separated mystery versus story, right? The
Yeah.
story of Farewell My Turnabout is a whole laid out thing of the internal moral dilemma and all this sort of stuff and you know, et cetera, et cetera. It's very intense. You learn a
That's
lot
my
about
jam.
Phoenix and Miles and everybody, right? It's definitely like, oh boy, we're in it.
That,
But the
that's my shit.
mystery was not as satisfying, you know,
Mm.
in my opinion.
I thought the mystery was pretty satisfying. Like I really
Oh, it
liked
was
the
good.
idea that like one I knew Matt on guard couldn't be that stupid. Picked up on that right away. That was fun to be haha, I was right. Um but then also the twist with like he didn't and like he's playing a stab in the back and then you turn them against each other. That was something I wasn't expecting, so that was a really fun surprise, especially for
It
everything
was a fairly
we were put
satisfying
through.
way.
That was some very good
what
catharsis.
I
I
what I
found that
enjoyed about
incredibly
that was
satisfying.
that it was a satisfying way to have Matt on guard be found guilty still without you technically not doing your job. You know, I think that was
Yeah.
good. We didn't have a court moment where it's like, okay, now we have to prove Matt on guard guilty. We had a moment that was what they tried to do with Gant, I think, in an odd way, in a roundabout way, where it was they revealed their hand
Eh,
themselves. Well, because that was the whole thing with Gant. We needed Gant to incriminate himself. And that's what
we
Unguard
needed Gant
did.
to incriminate himself, but eh, it wasn't the same. I
Oh, it
can't
wasn't the
explain
same.
why in the moment, like right now, it wasn't the same.
Well, you have a whole nother
Hard,
game
I
to think
know it
about it.
wasn't the same.
But yeah,
But
so
it
so
wasn't
far
the
nothing has topped Turnabout Goodbyes, and I will say it's a tall order because it really just hits all the
Turnabout
boxes we're
Goodbyes
talking about.
just set the bar so high.
Which is understandable. I mean, it was essentially the kickoff of an entire franchise, so
Oh yeah.
it worked out. Exactly, Pastry Puff. From the beginning, definitely Dylan, a little bit Mars were like, it's on guard. And I was just like,
A
in
little
denial.
bit.
Like,
I was all over that.
it's never been, like,
I
we've
was like,
always,
he's so
you know,
fucking evil.
we've always
No one can be this
represented good
stupid.
people, right? We've always represented, and so I was in denial.
You were.
I was in denial.
You wanted him to stay a woo pretty boy.
every time we like cut to him and he has the bangs back down after the reveal, I'm just like, why are you teasing me? Like, why are you
I
tempting
was like,
me?
you're drawn so soft. Why must you be
He's
so
such a
evil?
you were one step from himbo and yet you were a dick. You know, like, ugh, how dare. He didn't
I'm
have the
dying.
kind heart that all himbos need.
No, himbos have the body of a jock and a heart of gold.
And one
That's what
brain cell.
divine and one brain cell. Yes, all the best
Best
himbos.
himbos. The pinnacle himbo is Kronk. Second is
Oh,
Fred
Kronk,
Jones.
absolutely.
Those are like quintessential himbo.
I
Those
mean,
are
my
himbo
my classic
definition.
himbo is Gallothymos. Not classic, but definitely my go-to
Oh, there's a
for a
lot of himbos.
himbo.
I just think like the definition of himbo in the dictionary has a picture of Kronk in it. You know, like
Oh, absolutely.
that's the and then secondary is Fred Jones because like have you seen them?
Yes.
He's got one thought and it's traps. I can't. Oh, oh, Fred.
And Gumshoe.
Gumshoe, yeah, Gumshoe is a pretty quintessential himbo, isn't he? He really is.
He's definitely a modern himbo.
Well, he's got his one hyper focus where he's good at the tech, right? He helped us with the tech. But everything else he means well, but he does stupid things like run red lights and hit into telephone poles when we need him.
Good God.
I will say the himboist Gumshoe did come out in Rise from the Ashes.
It really did.
I will say. Now, Phoenix was really mean to him, which I didn't like, but
Phoenix
I will
started
say
getting so mean in Rise from the Ashes. I was like, hello? When
which
did
I
this
don't understand
character...
because then we get Justice for All Gumshoe, which is like my best friend is Phoenix, right? Because we don't know where Miles Edgeworth is, you know. And then Edgeworth comes back and he's like, my best friend, BFF buddy.
Hey, you buddy old pal.
Let me talk to Edgeworth, Phoenix. Oh my god, the chucking the phone was
I
beautiful.
will be right back in a moment. I need to grab a tissue.
How dare you? But the problem I have, Pastry Puff, is I would feel really bad if there's a point where Phoenix gets that mean to Gumshoe. Like, I'm scared that there's a point in the storyline that causes Phoenix to be so absolutely mean to, because even before that, even in the first game, I didn't find him to be that rude to Gumshoe. So like all I can imagine is that it's coming from later down the line, and I'm concerned. I'm concerned.
This is why continuity matters. And making sure people are on the same page. Communication.
Are you far away, Mars?
No.
Oh, you got so much quieter than you were before you got a tissue.
Oh, really?
Okay, no, now you're back.
Oh, maybe because I had a tissue in front of my mic?
Yeah, that was probably it. I was like, I can barely hear what you're saying now. And that's me. Chat could hear you fine. It's just me.
Oh,
but
okay.
in order for me to have an interaction with you, I need to hear you.
That is very true. Like I said, communication.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, guys. I guess the cat hair in my room is getting to me.
Oh, no.
Jeez. Oh, I did sound far away, Pastry Puff? Alright, it wasn't just you, Ori.
Okay, good. It was the tissue then. It was all the tissue's fault.
Blame
She's
the
good
tissue.
now, though, guys, right?
Air. You guys saw that picture of the full zip hair that I brushed off my cat
Yes.
in the Discord? Ugh. And
yes,
she
indeed.
still is shedding. I'm like, oh my god. This cat, I swear. Stop. By the time she sheds all that fur, she's gonna need to grow it all back for winter. So I don't know what the plan is here.
She doesn't know either. She's just letting it happen.
She's just vibing. She's like, "Oh, you're gonna brush me? Okay."
I think that's so funny. Whereas some pets are like, yes, brush, and other pets are like, how dare you touch me with this object? This is the highest, insult to my people.
Yeah. You insult me, you insult my ancestors. How dare you?
I had one dog. She was a dachshund. Loved to be brushed. It's great. Would come up to you. You bring out the brush. She's like, yes, yes, yes. This scratches all my itches. I love it. It's the back
She was a
scratcher.
short hair dog, though. How much did she need to be brushed?
Not very much. Every once in a while.
Okay.
She does shed, but you just don't see it because it was brown and short. Like it did shed. But my current dog, she's like I wouldn't call her necessarily a long hair, but she's got like a lot of different hairs.
We're in the
So she
medium
does
range.
shed, but you don't need to cut her, right? She's not like a poodle or something where you need to actually like cut them down, like
You
a
guys
sheep.
have seen the pictures in the
Yeah,
Discord.
you guys have seen the pictures of her. But
You
she
know what
does
the
shed
puppy looks like.
like the Dickens. And what was I gonna say? She sheds like the Dickens, but she would rather not be brushed. She's a very good dog where she'll sit there and just look at you like, you're really doing this. Like, this is so insulting. This is so rude. But she'll lie there, but she'll look at you like you're the worst person by brushing her.
My cat Misty, she likes being brushed. Like she will purr, she will rub up against you, but she will move as you're brushing her. So you'll start with like maybe the neck and work your way down the body like in that long stroke. And as you're doing that, she's walking around to turn with her to follow her. I was like, "Why can't you stay still?" Half the time I end up holding her by the scruff just so I can like get to her cuz like she's getting mats on her back.
Oh.
Cuz what happens is like you get the undercoat, but then the hair flies off and it accumulates like at the base of the tail. And then
Mm-hmm.
the mat forms. So it's like then it hardens, then gets stuck, and it's like that good. So you have to work on it. And it's like basically when you're brushing your hair and you pull a knot out. Like it's not a fun time. And she looks at me and gives me a little betrayed meow, like, I'm like, what do you want me to do? I have to get the mat out. It's going to not be fun. I'm sorry.
Pastry Puff,
But
do you
you will
mean
be healthy after this.
who took care of Gumshoe like after he got out of the hospital
No,
and
no, she
everything?
was the cat. She was the cat.
Oh. Ooh, I don't know.
Hoping Pearl got to take it home.
Who's looking after Pearl though? Like
Maya. Clearly.
Maya's only 18
Just two children raising each other.
in a
It's
remote
like Lilo
village.
and Stitch, and we know how well that worked out.
It's no wonder Phoenix is a dad. He's so young. All these lost children just find him.
The one spoiler I do know about Ace Attorney is that Phoenix actually does become like an actual dad.
Maybe DeKiller took it. I'm okay. He seemed to care about the cat, right? I'm okay with assassins who are animal people, right? They just
No,
don't enjoy humans.
He's a butler with a mustache. Obviously, he needs a cat to sit on his lap to stroke
Ooh,
evilly.
you're right. You're right. Very important. That's it.
He definitely
That's the
took
head
Shoe.
canon. He
definitely took Shoe because after that whole radio business,
Okay.
he decided he was over
You know
radios.
what?
He moved
That's
to
an
cassette
interesting thing,
not
though.
cassette tapes, videotapes where he filmed himself stroking
Why?
kitties.
If it was Matt's idea, yes.
Yeah, I know about Trixie.
Trucy. Trucy.
Trucy. Did I say Trixie?
Yes, you did. It's not
I
My
meant
Little Pony.
Trucy. No, you know why I said Trixie? Because she's a magician, and I was thinking like Ace Attorney with the pun. So I was like, oh, magician, Trixie.
Yeah, no.
I mean, come on, they would do it.
But, what was I gonna say? Cat. Oh. The cat thing. What I don't understand is why Matt, supposedly, according to him, it was his idea to kidnap Maya and hold her hostage, right? That was apparently Matt's idea. Now, if that's the case, that means he would know that the killer was hiding in his house. So why did Matt decide to send us to his house to take care of the cat? Because he wasn't so dumb, we found out in the end, right? That was all the joke. That was all a mask, an act. And yet he directly sent us to his house to feed, quote unquote, feed his cat. Yeah, that's a little like, I don't know what was up there, you know?
I'm trying to think about that. Unless the whole point was because we did run into the butler again there. Like, and did he didn't reveal he was Shelly in that moment, did he?
I guess, Pastry
I
Puff.
don't remember the
I feel like
timeline, but
that's
the
the
only
only
thing I could think is
explanation.
like maybe he sent us there on purpose, knowing the killer was there, and like make sure we stuck to what we said we were gonna do because he was in on. So
But
maybe
that
that
sounds
was
like a bad idea.
purposeful.
Now I know where Maya is, you know?
But we didn't know Maya was
No,
there.
because Phoenix is a little dum-dum
We didn't
sometimes.
figure that out.
And the reason I say Phoenix is a dum-dum is because he didn't recognize the butler that he talked to with a Stitch face and the house butler that he talked to with a Stitch face as the same person. That's the sole reason I think. Obviously, he couldn't have known all the other stuff we knew, but come on, Phoenix.
That's why my personal headcanon, maybe an intimidation tactic. Like maybe he knew we would run into the butler there, and he would like kind of send us along his way. But Pastry Puff is saying he didn't tell us who he was in that scene. He didn't reveal himself yet, so now I'm not so sure.
Yeah, the killer called himself John Doe, and Phoenix literally in the game was like, "Yep, that's fine. He's a butler."
Yeah, that checks out.
Throughout the
wow, must be hard working 2 jobs.
The paper.
Hotel butler
but the
and
reason I
house
call Phoenix
butler.
a little dum-dum is because you literally saw a butler with a stitch down his face. I will say I'm a little sad that didn't end up being like a suit. It was just so ready for it. But
that
the
would have been too
radio
much.
was pretty good in the end. I will say the radio made up for it. The radio testifying. That was pretty
great.
good. I'm very curious now, to see what happens with the last one.
I can't wait to see what witness is called in
what is
going to
top
trial
it in Trials and Tribulations, right? I will say I'm sad that we did that in Justice for All, and starting with Rise from the Ashes, we stopped getting that Phoenix presenting the quintessential evidence to the bad guy and almost dying. I don't know. It was a part of character. Well, yes, character growth. I kind of liked him being like so gung ho that he was just like, "Yeah, we're gonna get you," and then being
I'm gonna present this in court, and that'll be the end of you. Presents taser.
Falls into
really?
My trap. So I don't know.
I'm gonna expose you in court. Oh, really? Guards, take care of him.
I just realized I have to make you and Dylan freaking another outfit before next week.
Really?
Yeah.
Why do I get another outfit?
Because the first case you play a character that's also in a later case, so it's not just like a it's not just like a classic
classic
tutorial
Maya
with like completely different characters that never come back.
Oh.
Pastry Puff, I was thinking that because there's 2 back in time turnabouts. One of them being the first one and one of them being one in the middle. Yeah, 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 yeah. So Dylan will probably still be Edgeworth for the beginning, but Mars needs one for next week.
Next week, I thought we were doing Smash or Pass.
Yes, but if Smash or Pass finishes, we will start Trials and Tribulations.
Okay, I'm just thinking how long it took us the first time.
It took us 2.5 hours, and then we still played some game after.
Did we?
I think we'll be a little faster because I think now I could be wrong because there is a lot in Turnabout Big Top, but ideally it'll go a little faster because I do think I know how I rambled on in the first one, and I won't ramble on again because
okay, Ori, I know we're ace, but we have to focus on physical appearance. That's the only thing that matters. We can't talk about personality.
Oh no, that's not even what happened. Half of the time is like you and me just like listing out the beautiful aesthetics of like the yes, I love the earrings and the hair and those good shoes and
Because Dylan told us to focus on appearance. What else am I supposed to talk about? Ah, yes, look at those fab. Yes, that scarf is just on point.
I know it has returning. I know that Justice for All has returning characters, Pastry Puff, but I am counting them. Like obviously Phoenix, Edgeworth we've seen before, Maya we've seen before, Lotta we've seen before,
Blech.
Wendy and Will Powers. What I plan to do is I plan to have sort of what our decisions were last time. And so we do those characters and have a quick of like, did it change? But
do you still feel this way?
I edited down the first Smasher Pass, which took 2.5 hours. Okay, it was 2.5 hours long, and I have edited it down to 45 minutes.
Wow.
Which is honestly a feat. I had to edit it twice because I was like, I can't post a video that's an hour. Like, I feel like no one's gonna watch it. I need to cut it down. Thus, Mars, I have to get you to do some voice lines, but
oh, sure thing.
Oh, 100% patient. It's more what I'm specifically joking about is when I listen back to Smash or Pass. It is literally 90% of the 90%'s a lot. 60% of the time that we are talking is Mars and I repeating each other on yes, we like lists all of the characters' outfit pieces, and then the other one does it again.
Like, yes.
You know, it's like take Angel Star, right? I go like, yes, you know, love the pillbox hat, love the dangle earrings, the fur coat, it's great, the dress, top tier, you know, and the hat matches basket, it's great. And then we kind of go off into tangent a little bit, and then Mars turns comes in and she's like, yes, you know, the outfit, Angel Star, I want it, fur coat, who can go wrong? You know, it's like the same thing again.
I was right.
I'm not. We both did it. I'm not calling you out or anything. But I think it's so funny as I'm sitting here listening to this, and I'm like, how did anybody listen to us for 2.5 hours? I want to cry.
God,
I'm cringing at
I cringe so hard.
So I think that next time will be a little more streamlined as well.
Yeah. I realize we got to do the Markiplier. Smash.
Okay, I don't want to go. I don't want to go that short. Right. I definitely don't want to go.
We have to channel that energy, you know?
Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
From being 2 hours.
Just a little bit. The biggest thing is like I'm not gonna go on and on and on. You know, I definitely went on and on and on a lot of time.
I will rein myself in as much as I can.
But yeah, Pastry Puff, I think a lot of people do that too, because honestly, if you don't have the sexual attraction part, it's like, what is the difference when people describe it? You know what I'm saying? Like when people describe it, it's like, how do you tell the difference? Casual outfit. I'm excited to see who this fluffy hair is.
Ugh. Why did I think of Lotta when you said fluffy?
aesthetic attraction is definitely a weird thing to separate from sexual attraction when nobody can really describe them easily
Yeah,
if you're not ace. Once you're
it's
ace, you
hard.
realize that it's like, ah, yes, like I don't have that one, and that's how I can tell the difference. But it's definitely like a because especially when I look at like art and Mars and I look at art, we definitely use like colloquial terms that people who do have like sexual attraction use, right? And so my favorite is Mars does the the HNNNNNG, which is specifically slang for like being turned on. Like they're so hot that like they're and
It sounds
so
like
but
that's
I
the
feel it in
sound
my
it's supposed
soul
to be.
in the vibe of like it's they are so good looking that it like
I
pains me
can't
and I want to
articulate
be
it.
them, right? Like that's what's wild about the like the whole thing is that it's definitely like there's two characters in the whole thing. There's either, man, this character is so like good looking, I wish I was them, and then there's, oh my god, I love this character so much they are my child. And
Yeah.
there's no in between.
Sometimes a character can be both.
There is a beautiful little animation made by the people who make the chicken nugget dog animations,
Yeah.
and it is of Slushy the Fox, and she's like fawning over this animated character, and this little kid goes like, "What? So do you want to date him? Like you want to marry him or something?" And she's like, "No, that's not it at all."
I think I said
You
that to
did.
you and was like
This is it.
us.
And what it's like a circus, a circus animal that I lovingly throw peanuts at. I'm like, why is this so relatable?
Wait,
Why is
Ori,
it?
can you find that
Yes,
and
I
play it
can.
for
I
chat?
can. I can.
I think they need to see it
I'll find it.
because it's beautiful. Pastry puff. I think you're gonna love this.
Chicken nugget. I think this is how it's spelled. It is. I found it. The shorts. Let's find the right one. Gotta scroll down. It's not that one.
I think after we watched Stampede, Tri-Stamp,
I found
we were
it.
just fawning over Fashion Wolf.
It's such a vibe though. Okay, I found it. I found it. Pause. Okay. Yes, I want to
Yeah,
be Franziska von
that's the
Karma.
movie
Thank you. I would
Francisca.
like to be her. That would be very, very nice. Okay, here it is.
It's also like a little bit of admiration in there. It's like Francisca gets shit done.
Okay, we ready?
All right, let's go. We're ready.
Okay. Why is this incredibly quiet in like a bad way? Now I'm having issues.
No,
It's actually a lot more complicated than that.
Scuffy in the beginning and Scruffy at the end.
Why is it? It's like playing not the right sound through it.
He's like a zoo animal.
What?
That I lovingly throw peanuts down at. Huh?
Okay, I think they can hear it. I think they can hear it. Okay,
Okay.
here it is.
So are you in love with him?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I just
It's
checked
actually a lot
it.
more complicated
It's
than that.
audible.
He's like a zoo animal that I lovingly throw peanuts down at. Huh?
There you go. That's the vibe.
It was just it was so on point.
It is so on point.
It's like, no, I don't I'm not in love with this character. I don't want to marry with them or be with them. I
Yeah,
just
exactly,
I
Enthuse.
want to love them and
That
take
was
care of them.
that was one of my like first interactions when I first started dating Dylan. Was when no, that's essentially what we're talking about. Enthuse being very ace.
It was incredibly
When I first
ace.
started dating Dylan, I was very into fairy tale, right? And so I love Natsu. He's like my first anime baby. Like I will always love him. He's
Your
great.
fire baby, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, fire baby. Why is this being weird? And he will always hold that place in my heart. I love him. And so when I was talking to Dylan about him, he was definitely like, he's like, so you want to like get together with him? And my immediate reaction is, what the what? Who wants that? What is this? It was so of like a
When you said
no.
that, I just imagined the meme where it was like, "Who says that?"
Because it's like I think he's very good looking. Like I love his personality. I love him so much. I want him to be happy. But like, I don't. It's such a weird sort of like, no, people want that. I thought that was a joke. People joke. Oh my god.
No, I found out that it is very much not.
Yep. It's very weird. And then it's like, yeah, exactly. People are serious that they actually like want these things, and it's like, no, for me, it's just a funny
There,
joke.
it's more like a zoo animal that I lovingly throw peanuts at.
Oh my god,
It was too good. Damn good.
it's so good. It was very, very ace vibes. But yeah, so I was like, with how could you think that? uh, I think that is when Dylan and I talked about being ace. Me being ace. Is that
Naruto
Jujutsu
Nanami.
Kaisen Nanami?
I
Or is that a
think it
different Nanami?
is. The problem is I only know like Nanami as his name. I don't remember his
It
other
is. It
name.
is the boy. It is the
It is.
boy.
Okay,
I mean, I
okay.
love him too, but I don't
He's
want that either.
he's great. We were looking at a figure of him today on Good
And he's
Smile.
he's undoing his tie. See, this is what's so
Ugh.
wild, right? He's undoing the tie, and I'm like, hell yes, queen, let's go. But I still, that's like it's like a show, right?
But
Like,
that's like yes, badass. You go, guy.
but
God,
it's
that
very much
sounded
like
so
like
stupid.
I want all the ships to happen. They don't involve me. I don't want any of me with that.
I am not about the your name
Yeah, ex
plus
reader.
character ship.
Here it is. I'll show it. It's
I
this one.
actually tried reading a couple of those in high school, and I just that's not my vibe. I
It's
cannot
this one,
write
and it's
your
great.
name stuff.
I'm I, I'm
It's just
debating. It just
too
looks so good.
much
Look
for
at
me
him.
personally.
Ugh. See,
Ugh.
making these noises, you wouldn't think very ace, but oh my god, this is like, oh, please, it's so good.
So curious, who is the little guy? Why do I feel like it's a character from Teen Titans or Avatar? Or even Danny Phantom.
Those are always really weird to me too. I don't know. It's like, yes, I love Danny, and people draw like older Danny fan art like really good, and he looks really good, and it's just like, yes, but also like don't touch him. Don't touch him.
Don't-
Don't touch him. He's over there for me to
I'm
look.
crying.
It's such
Oh
a
my
weird
god.
experience.
Don't touch him. Don't taint him.
Yeah, like no. He's over there. He's not for you. He's not for me either. He's for no one.
Old and weird fan base. Homestuck.
Yeah. Gonna say I never was part of Homestuck, but I know about Homestuck.
I'm not calling anyone out. I'm just saying that's usually the one people are referring to when they say old fan base.
It's the Onceler. No.
The the one slings. Oh my god. Dead. I am deceased.
All of the deceased. Oh my goodness. This audio is really weird for me. You guys are
Ugh.
probably
Oh, I
experiencing
bet
it
you're on a whole
relatively
bunch of
normal, but
different
it's odd for
headphones.
me. What?
You're on a different set of headphones entirely.
No,
Must
no,
be a whole
no.
new
I'm on the
experience.
same set of headphones, but without the noise canceling, manually plugged into my microphone, which apparently doesn't allow me to do a lot
Oh,
of
that
volume
is
change on my end.
really? Huh. That's bizarre as hell. Oh, that's not what I expected, Pastry Puff. Okay.
I
I don't know anything about that,
not about the
unfortunately.
AUs very much.
See, that is so complicated in Thews, because when it's like you like a character and then you want your significant other to be like them, it's like it's doomed. It's doomed. You can't make someone be like a character.
Well, it seemed like the significant other was upset that Enthuse's kind's character's shipped character was not like the partner. Did that make sense?
Oh, they
It's
thought they
like
should
it's
be.
like if I felt a kinship with Lance
Oh.
and Dylan was like, "Why isn't Keith like? But you ship
So,
Lance with Keith. Keith is nothing like me, right? That's upsetting. That's
mm,
the example.
I see, I see. Okay, I misinterpreted
That's
that.
my
My
understanding.
mistake.
I see, and that's an interesting thing. I feel like you could really vibe with a character and still ship them. Okay, see, I'm on top of it. Hello, Grenade. You are a fellow cool kid.
Your brain came back, Ori.
Yeah, my brain does come back. That's what happens. It's that cycle you guys talked about with the
See,
whole thing.
that's because mine just checked out right now.
Well, it's only like
It's
15
Ori's
more
turn
minutes,
with the
so
brain cell.
you'll be fine. Yeah, we switched. We switched brain cells. But
Also, hello, Grenade.
I feel like that's an interesting thing that I've experienced where I can be like, yes,
Oh, it's
that's me. This
brain
character's
brain.
me, but I can still ship this character with this other character, and I don't want to be with the like
Oh, absolutely.
like that's definitely like a separation where there's both the yes, that's me. I am the. It's like okay, this is the really wild thing about us playing Ace Attorney, how we're playing Ace Attorney, because there's like I am Phoenix Wright like a good 85-90% of the time is like this Phoenix Wright is me, very like can think logically but definitely emotionally driven, like honestly there's a lot of Phoenix in me. And
There
then
is
there's
a
a ton of
ton.
Dylan and Edgeworth, right? And obviously I love Edgeworth so much, but I don't want to be with Edgeworth. I want Phoenix and Edgeworth to be together, separate. They're over there.
Well, Ori, that's because you have your own Edgeworth.
Well, my Edgeworth is definitely a lot of gumshoe, but you know, in a lovable, great goof way. He's a goofus, a silly factory. He deemed himself a silly factory, so it's not offensive.
I see. Well, that's good to know.
He also enjoyed Goofus when I called him that the other day.
I too respect the creation of Goofus. That is some top tier shit.
But it's just one of those things where it's like, yes, I am Phoenix. Yes, Dylan is Edgeworth, but Edgeworth and Phoenix can go over there. I don't want a part of that. They have that. Exactly.
The creator of sillies, yes.
After you call yourself a silly factory or are called a silly factory, you have to hold your hand up to the side of your head, move it like a crank, and go. It's very important to the whole silly factory aesthetic. Don't ask, Dylan made it up. And I don't ask questions that I don't want to have a discussion about. Mars, which character do you most resonate with?
In the Ace Attorney series?
So far, of course.
Gotta
Pearl. No.
be. Well, honestly, that's probably the closest. But not really any of them, to be honest. Like, of the ones I've played, at least. Like, don't get me wrong, Maya's fun, and I do think, like,
I can see
I
a
can be
fair amount of
bubbly
you
at
in
times.
Maya.
I could definitely be enthusiastic. Um,
The judge.
but I definitely don't see as much as myself.
This is the judge because he's always confused.
You're the judge, Enthuse?
Oh my goodness.
I do have a newfound respect for the judge, just because of
He-
how much he doesn't know. I'm like,
He
oh,
has his
you
moments.
poor thing. Let me
There's
just
sometimes
take you
where
to
it's
the
like
side. I'll get you a blanket. It'll be
there's
fine.
moments where it's like, wow, he has clarity, and then there's other moments where it's like, dude, are you even like head of the courtroom at this point? Like, oh my god, have a spine, please. Something.
Literally. It fluctuates all the damn time. It's like, yes, keep us on our toes, Judge. Never give us a sense of comfort.
I feel like if we learn more about Maggie Bird,
I
that could be a contender for Mars.
probably. I could see that. I feel like you're also choosing her because she kind of looks like me.
She does. But I do think that from what I remember about her, it does seem like, very helpful, very thoughtful, mindful, those sort of things.
Aw.
She seemed excited about her job, but a little overwhelmed, which honestly, no
Mood.
offense.
Fucking mood. I
So-
do have to say, out of all the personalities, I definitely liked Emma's the most. I felt like it was really different. I liked the story behind hers. And why she is the way she is. Like, it was very good character motivation. There we go. And also she was just very unique and a very helpful partner to have.
What I liked is that she actually did things. I always feel bad about how much the game is like, Maya, you do nothing. And it's like, sadly, it's true. And I feel bad, right? Like, I don't want Maya to not be helpful. Same with Pearl, right? They are just both there so that Mia can come to me at my time of need. And I feel bad about that.
Well, that's how it's been in the first game mostly. In the second game, I gotta admit, Maya's a little bit of a pawn.
Yeah.
Like in the first official case where when we see her again, she's accused of a crime again. So that's retreading territory from the first game already. And then she's kidnapped for the entirety of
But what did
the
that
final case.
What did
Now,
that do though? What did we
she
lose? We still had
wasn't
Mia.
useless. She did send like clues as to where she was, and she did like try to escape. She didn't just like wait around or anything. Like definitely not damsel in distress or woman in the fridge syndrome. But
And it was fun to have her
it was
perspective.
definitely like she was the catalyst, right?
Yeah.
She was what kept the plot moving forward. She was what kept the tension up because Phoenix was so her
But
and
the only thing she's
protect her. And that's what the whole
done-
court case revolved around, was making sure she didn't get killed.
I think the only thing that she has explicitly done was take the bullet from Von Karma.
Yeah, like the damning piece of evidence.
The thing that allowed us to win that case. If we didn't have
Yeah.
that bullet, we couldn't have run ballistics against the one of his shoulder and had that,
I mean, I guess you could argue she is better at talking with people and connecting with them than Phoenix is. Like, Phoenix kind of, like, trips over his tongue a lot or says something that to raise their guard, where Maya says things that gets people to lower their guards. Like, she connects with people.
That is
She
true.
was
Which is
laughing
a funny
alongside
change
with Mo.
when we get
And it
Emma.
kind of, like, shows Phoenix, like, you have to open up a little bit to get others to open up.
And that's a very funny change when we have Emma, because Emma is the awkward one that it's like, shut up, Emma, please stop
Yeah.
talking.
Do you know why police cars are painted black and white? It's because of penguins!
There you go. There you go. Pastry puff, exactly. She did keep Turnabout Goodbyes going. I only remember Larry jumping in. And I guess you're right. We did have that fine where she didn't, contempt in court.
No, she did.
Yeah,
She was
I
held
remember
in
that.
contempt of court in, I think in Nick's
And that
place,
was specifically
honestly.
a case where she's like, I feel like I'm useless. Without channeling Mia, I'm gonna not be useless. And then she's just like really shunted in this last one, which is kind of sad.
Yeah.
She's the culprit in the second one. Well, she's
Curious to see
non-existent in
how
the first one.
they use her character in the third game.
Yeah, because she's
I like
no, she
Maya.
was
I really
enthused.
do. So I want to see her used more. I want to see her cases,
But
not just
that
like we need to save her
was
from getting
something
convicted
that is a little something though.
or dying.
Literally all of Turnabout Goodbyes 1-4 is that Maya feels like she's not being helpful to Phoenix, like she just kind of stands around and isn't really, if she can't channel Mia, what is she good for? And we have a lot of those moments with her being like, no, you're helpful, you did something, I don't know what it is, but you did it, and it's like she's like, don't pity me, these sort of things. And then she has these
that's
two
the whole
moments
reason she leaves,
where she gets
wants
herself
to
in contempt of
training
court
to be more powerful.
Well, and so she goes to be more powerful. And then she's not in the tutorial, which is fine, that was expected. And then she's the culprit in the first one, so we don't get her help at all in the first one. In Turnabout Big Top, what did she do?
Well, that's why I say, like, her big thing is connecting with people.
Yeah, I guess she did help
with Mo, where
talking with
Phoenix was
everybody.
like, oh, these jokes are terrible.
And she did.
Where Maya was like, oh, no, your jokes are great. And, like, Mo opened up to us.
And she also did her classic
so she kind of has the role of the
kleptomania that helped us.
Yeah.
She does do a lot of convincing Phoenix to steal things. And then she was
Maya's
kidnapped
human relations
in the last one.
I just want to see her involved in more cases. I miss her. We were deprived of her
pastry puff. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, that too, pastry puff.
And Maya was at first fawning over Max because she liked him, as a performer,
as a magician.
Yeah. So, yes, and we wouldn't have gone to the circus if it wasn't for Maya, if I remember correctly.
We were taking Pearl on a trip. We were taking Pearl to see the circus.
We probably wouldn't have done Turnabout Samurai if it wasn't for Maya. Because remember, she was the one that was like, we need to go quick. Like, let's go now.
So if it wasn't for Maya in Turnabout Samurai, she never would have gotten kidnapped in Farewell My Turnabout, because we never would have met Will Powers, and we never would have been invited to the banquet.
Will Powers,
Maya's kidnapping is her own fault.
My favorite defendant besides Maya, of course.
Oh, I love Will Powers.
Again, as I state in
Such
Rise from the Ashes,
teddy bear of a man.
He is the only one that, 1, paid me, and 2, didn't lie to me, and 3, never tried to convict himself on the stand.
He is the ideal client.
Because what other clients we had? Edgeworth, horrible client.
Edgeworth
Lana,
was like, yes, arrest me, I am guilty. No!
I guess Maggie Bird was a fine client. She was very helpful.
Aggie Bird was interesting. She was the client and the tutorial.
Yeah, that was
I was like,
interesting.
I'm sorry, my client can talk me through how to do the trial? Okay.
And then it was Maya again, so it doesn't count. And then it was
Max,
in the Max
I don't
sucked. I
remember
didn't.
Max being.
Max was not a good client. He
He
was a
wasn't?
oh, he like
I don't remember him lying.
uh, he didn't really. He did a classic like the magicians never reveal their secrets sort of thing, and then also he was
Oh, but
literally
then
like,
he eventually cracked.
yeah, eventually, but you know they
Like,
all
it
do
was all part of an
eventually.
act.
They all do eventually, and then the other thing is that like really everyone hates you, Max. Like come on. And he didn't talk about the like salary discussions with what's his name before, the ringleader. You know, we had to get that out of him. Like nah. Will Powers literally was like, I don't know what happened. I was asleep. That was never found to the contrary. No more information was garnered from that. He didn't keep anything from us. He didn't know.
Oh,
Max,
that's nice to know, Pastry Puff. I'm glad. I'm
that is
very
good.
glad. Okay, chat, I gotta know, because I was mispronouncing it all night.
Yeah.
Is it overarching or overarching? I've heard it
Okay,
both
it's
ways.
overarching. Okay, I had
Definitive
this whole
way.
conversation with Dylan, unfortunately. It's overarching. But it's
Okay,
spelt overarching because languages is stupid, especially English. It's like
great.
arc wizard. It's
Good
not
to know.
arch wizard. It's arc wizard. But it's
Okay.
very dumb for the
Because I
same
was
reasons.
saying overarching earlier tonight, and I was like, no, it's overarching. Wait, is it?
Yeah,
I
it's
don't
really
actually
yeah,
remember.
exactly. And as Inthu says, arch can be pronounced both ways, but in a bad way. And it depends on the context. Usually you only use arch when you're referring to the thing, like the
Yeah,
golden arches.
the architectural
Yeah,
thing.
it's dumb and I hate it and it shouldn't be that way. But it's because ch in what is it, Greek? I think it's Greek or Latin, I can't remember, is not pronounced ch, it's pronounced k. And like Italian, ch is k in Italian. And so you know, I think it must be Latin then. It's Latin or Greek, I can't remember. But so it's dumb. And so we kept the spelling, but then because we're English now, nobody has any idea. Yeah, I know, Enthuse, it's dumb. But it's the golden
Uh,
arches. You don't say the golden arcs. Like, no.
oh, that just sounds
Terrible.
wrong.
What's the other one?
Ouch. Pain.
Tomato. Yeah, I'm not gonna
Yes.
say it. Tomato.
Tomato,
What
tomato.
did my
Oh
grandmother
God,
is from
this.
England.
Did I tell you guys this story? I'll let Ori tell her
Oh,
story
mine's really
first.
quick. My grandmother's up from North Carolina. She's originally from England, and so she still says a lot of things the English way. And she said, "Oh, do you want to, Ori, do you want any tomato?" And I was like, "How do you say the other one?" And she's like, "What?" I was like, "It's a baked," and she's like, "Oh, potato." I'm like, "So you say tomato, but you didn't say potato? Like, aren't they supposed to rhyme?" She's like, "No, they don't rhyme." And it's like, oh my god, end me. All English is dumb.
It really. The story you
You can
reminded
tell
me
your
of,
story
Pastry
now,
Puff, when you
Mars.
said tomato. Well, it's kind of along the same vein. So you guys know what I've been doing now, and the week we wrapped up clinic, we were having a big party essentially for one of our groups, and I was trying to help a client pick the food that they wanted. So I start like reading the different names of the dips for chip on the tray.
Mm,
So the first name I read is like this Italian, like Pregiugiano, blah, blah, something or other. So I'm like trying to sound it out, right? And my brain just kind of slips into that mode of
terrible decision.
talking. Yeah, it was a terrible decision, because then I picked up the tomato dip and I went, and this one's called wait, what? Nope, it's called tomato. I think I
Me
said like tomato. I was like, wait, what the fuck am I saying? I know how it's pronounced.
me on words on
Why am
stream.
I saying it this way? At least it made everyone in the room laugh, so I'll take it. If people are
Yes.
laughing at my expense, go for it. If I can bring you joy, please laugh away.
Prezizinano?
Prehizihinano?
I
Are
don't
you
think
trying to
ZH makes
spell?
the H noise. I think it just makes a Z noise.
Enthuse, was that you spelling what I tried to say, or?
Yes, like rap the flabble for whatever it
Yes,
was.
when plow.
Yes, thought
So
though
fun.
and plow terrible. And rough.
Yeah, your attempt is applauded. Your commitment
Yeah,
is
what's another one?
applauded.
Rough is another one. Also with the
Oof.
OUGH terrible. Plow though rough.
And then you got gruff, which is just a U.
It's GUFF versus ROUGH like a dumb.
Jeez.
No. I've said this before, and I think this is what we'll leave off on because it is midnight 30 again.
Ah, yes, midnight 30, that
Um,
magical hour.
but what I'll leave off on is the one thing in NCIS Special Victims Unit, Olivia, the main character, she has a son. Okay, and there is a scene in an episode. I have no idea the rest of the context about the episode, but her son is a a young boy, elementary school age, right? And he's like, "Mom, I need help with homework." And she's like, "All right, what is it?" And he's like, how do you spell because?" And she goes, "Sound it out." And then this child, quote unquote, sounding out the word because, spells it correctly. And that is like,
Wow.
and I go, immediately, this place is not real. My suspension of belief is gone. It's gone. It doesn't exist. There is no world that I know exists where yeah, exactly, or BEECUZ, like there is no world where this child knows how to spell the word because
Where
by
did
sounding
this
it
happen
out.
again?
What?
Where did this happen?
In an episode of NCIS Special Victims Unit.
Oh, okay.
NCIS SVU, right? Yeah. NCIS?
So it's
No.
Hollywood.
Law
They
and
don't
Order. I'm
know
sorry.
how
Law and Order.
actual
Law and
kids
Order. Law and
spell.
Order. Law and Order SVU. I'm sorry.
That ain't it, Chief.
Law and Order SVU. Yeah. Immediately took me out of the whole thing. I went, this universe doesn't exist. This world is fake. There's nothing here. How dare, it's like what world?
Like, yeah, no, I'm
I
gonna
have
call
to sing
bullshit.
the fucking song. I have to sing the fucking song every goddamn time. In my head. BECAUSE because like, oh my god. There is no way. Yeah, Wednesday. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to say
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Ugh.
You know how I have to spell together to get her.
To get her.
I still have to do that. I have to spell tomorrow,
Yeah,
Tom,
I do
or
that
row
too.
because otherwise I don't know where the double letters go. It's dumb. Terrible. Horrible. Are there any other weird ones I do?
I'm trying to
I
think
have
if
to
there are any
spell
weird
when
ones
I
do.
write Phoenix. I have to spell phoenix.
Phoenix.
I have to do that in my brain.
That's
every single time.
Big one.
Every time I have to do phoenix.
Because. Yeah, that's a good way. That's
yeah,
a good
but you
method.
have to know how to spell cause, right? And it only can you possibly sound it out if you say cause, right? Cause. But still, I don't think I'd put the E there because technically the rule doesn't apply. Because the E is applying to the E at the beginning, making the E say its name. Terrible, horrible, hate
the
it.
Struggle.
It's like, and then you have what, Klaus? Well, yeah, once you're old enough to write, but we're talking, this kid is like second, third grade. You know what I'm saying? This kid is learning how to spell words. Like, the homework is to spell the words, right? As tomorrow, mine is, I always want to make it a double M and not a double R. I don't know what it is. I don't know what my brain does, but I have to do it Tom or row so that I make sure that the double R exists.
That's actually a good trick because Tomorrow honestly still screws me up. Maybe I'll try to remember it that way.
To sing the rainbow song, I have to sing 90% of my times tables, and I still do the finger trick for nines.
Okay. Who sings any of the Schoolhouse Rock songs when they need to remember multiplication?
I don't know if I ever learned them as Schoolhouse Rock songs. I learned them to other songs.
Uh, I watched way too much Schoolhouse Rock growing up.
Yes. Okay, do we want a performance as the end of the times table
I
song?
all
And
right,
maybe
is
you
this
could
how
tell
we'll
me, Mark.
end?
Huh?
Which timetable are you doing?
Well, I don't think mine are from Schoolhouse Rock. I think mine are just versions of like nursery songs that are given. So I don't think we have the same ones.
Okay.
Because I have 3, 6, 9, 12,
9, 12,
15,
15,
18,
18.
21, 24, 27, 30, 33, and 36. Now we know our
Now,
threes. Did
see,
you know?
we ended with now we know, but we did have,
Oh, you had that one? And it's
yeah.
um 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32, 36, 40, 44, 48. And then,
Here's the one we had for the 6 times tables. 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36, 42, 48, 54. And then it ended there because like everyone figured out 60
and then,
by that
well, we
point.
didn't have one for fives. My six was different. Mine was 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36, with a 42 and a 48, 54, 60, 66, 72. And that was how that
Oh,
one went.
yours actually went beyond 9. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. And then, so 7 was to happy birthday. I think that's what it was. Hold on. No, now I can't. But it was 7,
Uh,
14, 21, 28, and 35, 42, and 49, 56, and 63, 70, 77, 84. Yeah, so it was happy birthday. And then,
The the Schoolhouse Rock one I'll never forget is the 5 times
see,
tables
I
because
never
it
learned a
just
5
had
one.
the catchiest beat. So Schoolhouse Rock like went the extra mile. It always had a premise to go with the music videos. And the one for 5 was like a game of hide and seek. So they're like, okay, I'm going to count to 100. All right, ready? Here we go. Bass kicks in, guitars start going 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. And they go all the way up to 100. And then, like, ready or not, here I come. Like,
Yo, we didn't learn a
you're
5
never
one.
getting it out of your head once you hear it. Oh, yeah. And the teachers had the book to make sure we memorized our tables. I don't know if your school did this, Ori, but my 3rd grade, we had to memorize the tables and also pass
Speed
a
minute
test.
exams.
Um, wait, what was that?
Like, they were like, you had a minute and you had to fill out, like,
Oh yeah, like this massive worksheet with
yeah.
like 50
And they
multiple choice,
technically didn't
not multiple
expect you to
choice,
do it all, but you
multiplication
never really
questions.
understood that because you were like 8, and it was just like stress because
Much. And then
terrible.
if you didn't pass, it was like, oh, you got to take that again before you move on to the
Yeah, you just
next
gotta keep taking it
number.
over and over
And
again.
it was like, once everyone makes it to 12, we can have our ice cream party. And there's always that one person, not naming
Struggling.
names and not not throwing anyone under the bus here, but there's always that one person who just the six, 7, 8, 9. Everyone could figure out 1 through 5, but as soon as we got to 6, fell apart.
Well, it's
It
because like
fell
1 through
apart
5, you can
completely.
count relatively fast, right?
Yeah.
You know, you can count or you can add
Like
relatively
2,
fast.
4, 6, 8, 10, 12,
Yeah,
14,
but
16, 18.
going
Like I
beyond
slowed
that,
down a little bit, but it's still
because
pretty
then we
fluid.
had the 8 songs.
Fluid.
So we had
There we go.
the 3, 4, 6, 7, 8 as songs, and then 9 was on the fingers, and then they were just like, go on. 11 is easy, and 12 you figure it out the opposite way, so you know, who cares.
Yeah.
Um,
No, for 12 they told us count up from what you left off on the 11
all our
times
songs
2.
had 12, so we always knew it.
Ah, very
And
clever.
they work up to 4 they're just the single number and then double that number, right? So like 2 times 12 is 24, 2, 4, right? 4 is double
Mm.
2. 3 times 12 is 36, 3, 6, right? 4 times 12 is 48, 4, 8. And then you have to know that 50 is 60, and then they're
Because
reversed,
life is
which is
unfair.
really, and then I don't understand why this works, but then they're the opposite. So then 6 times 12 is, is 54, but then you have, it's all
Wait,
weird.
6 times 12 is 54?
50, no, hold on,
No.
72. I'm
No,
going weird.
72?
72. Yeah,
Okay.
and then so then you just have to add them after 60, and it was just like, okay, whatever, I don't know.
I I think that midnight brain has
The
officially
midnight kicked
kicked
back
in.
in. It
We're
did.
doing math at midnight
Well,
44
we were
now.
singing songs that have obviously been ingrained in me so hard that I know. But yeah, it's one of those things
They're just
like
ingrained in our
Dylan
psyche now.
Dylan knows all the Italian months and days of the week because of the song. Like
Yeah.
I know a song for the Spanish days of the week.
Oh yeah,
We
we
know
we
that
had that in 7th
for
grade. I think
Frere
we've sung it
Jacques,
on
which
here
is a French
before.
song, but we learned it for the Spanish days of the week. Um, and then there's one more song I know. Oh, the other one that I use a lot is this little kind of song chant for the levels of taxonomy: kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species. That's how the song goes. Or it goes genus, species. Da-da-da-da.
Jazz hands.
Exactly. But yeah, I'm sorry you guys missed out on your times tables songs. They were honestly what made me probably like math a lot more than I ever would have, because they made that relatively easy, because if you could sing the song fast enough, you could do the
Yeah.
timetables. Um and literally
Well, not only
two
that, but it was like, ooh, second music class.
and to this day I use those songs to multiply. Like to this day it's like, oh, what is like
Yeah.
3 times 8 or something, and it's like, okay, 8 and 16, 24. 24. Like I still do that. um Obviously I've got to a point where certain ones are like pretty easy, but like kind of weird obscure ones, like I don't think I would know 7 times 8 off the top of my head as easily. I knew 8 times 3 is 24, but like same. And so
To bring it back to the of
yeah,
tonight, it's funny what sticks with ya.
yeah, it really is, isn't it? Oh, I 100% agree, Pastry Puff. I love math exactly because it's like, here's the rules, figure it out, and there is a right answer. Yeah, I was never good in English. Also, why I liked science, because same. It was figure out the answer. And that was the whole thing. But all right, guys. Thanks for hanging out. It is past our bedtime.
Yes. We need
But
sleep.
we appreciate you coming to this inspiration station with Mars.
Yes. Thank
Um,
you for listening to me ramble about my favorite game I have never played. If you guys do decide to play it or watch the cutscenes or even the anime, please don't hesitate to tell me about it. I would love to hear what you guys think.
and next time that Mars and I will actually be streaming in any sort of way, live talking at you guys, is on Saturday in Kaz's Discord for our So You Want to Make a Webcomic presentation. If you want to hop over to there. Honestly, it's a lot of stuff we have said in this, but it is condensed down into a singular PowerPoint that will probably be a little more on topic than ideally our streams usually are. So if you want it all in one place, that's probably the best ways to put it. 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Saturday in Kaz's Discord. Otherwise, we'll see you guys all for Baldur's Gate finally on
Yes.
Sunday.
Oh, we're back.
Jamie, I'm so sorry. Hello, but it is good night. I hope you enjoyed, Jamie, the art yesterday. I was very happy with that one. The art in 2 weeks is my favorite, and it's Ace Attorney again. But that you'll have to wait for. But yeah. All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out. I'm sorry we missed you, really, Jamie. I hope your day was enjoyable, and that's why you couldn't make it. You were doing fun things. And
Yes.
yeah. Good night.
Good night, everybody. Thanks for tuning in.